Hello guys, this is Rattue 498 and this is a 1v1 commentary battle on Napoleon Total War. I'm playing as France and my opponent, who's from the Devil's Legion clan, is playing as Prussia. So my build, I've got 4 Volts, which are the light infantry unit. I've got 2 Old Guard. I've got, I believe, 4 Polish Legion, and I've got 2 Swiss Foot. And I've also got 6 Shooter Cav and a standard general staff. My opponent's brought Foot Guards, Musketeers as his general line. He's got 4 Lancers and 5 Prussian Fusiliers. So he's bunched his Prussian Fusiliers up in the centre, so I just extend my lights right out and I'm going to stake, as the light battle is something I want to use as just kind of like a distraction, because I'm not going to be able to win it unless I stake and kind of hide my men behind them. The Prussian Fusiliers are awesome with just a normal skirmish battle. So I'm going to use my flanks to attack and basically just hold his Fusiliers in the centre until I can get my cav into them. So he's got some shots off at my my Volts there, so I'm going to bring my... I've got on this side an Old Guard unit and I believe it's a Swiss Foot over there with him. And I've got 3 cav units far out on the flank. So on this side I'm going to bring out one of my Old Guard units and also a Polish and a Swiss. And I've got 3 of my cav units on the other flank as well. So the skirmish fight in the centre started, and it's going to just basically stay that way throughout pretty much the whole of the battle. It is, as I say, I don't really want to get involved in a skirmish fight. I would lose, so it's not something I want to do. These Volts are brilliant with the French, not to basically attack with, but as holding units they're fantastic. They're very difficult to hit, so they can hold your opponent's lights up for quite a long time without too much of a problem. So I'm swinging my Shooter Cav around. I've got my Old Guard now firing on one of his Musketeer units. As you can see, his Musketeer unit's gone red. The Old Guard got the Fear ability. I'm going to send one of my cav units in to attack that Musketeer unit, and my opponent is countering. I believe he's going to bring his cav up. Yeah, so he's pulling his cav in. I've routed away that Musketeer unit. The Old Guard are very expensive, but just a couple of them in your army. Just I tend to use them in the flanks or group them in a bunch of 3. Just for main effect, really. So he managed to get a Lancer hit on my one of my Shooter Cav units, but I managed to rout away one of his Lancers already. My Shooter Cav are better in standard melee than Lancers, so they should be able to do a good job against them there. I'm switching one of my Cavs over to attack the lights that have flanked me. I try and square that Old Guard unit again and again. It just didn't let me do that for some weird reason. But the Old Guard, they're very good in melee, so even against Lancer Cav unit, they'll win the battle against them. So the Old Guard, I'm just moving the Old Guard up a little bit. My Cav are going in and out at one of his line units at the moment. I squared up my Swiss Foot quickly because he looked as if he was going to Cav charge me with him. As you can see, lights battle in the centre is just carrying on. I'm just moving up another unit. Oh, for some reason I clicked stop. I didn't even notice. And so my cav are going in on his lights, and they're going to come through and attack the other lights as well now. Basically, I just want to disrupt him. The whole time my cav are going to attack these lights. I'm not expecting them to do a huge amount of damage. Their charge bonus, it's not very good. And they're quite heavily depleted already from fighting, so they're not going to do a huge amount of damage. Sir. So as you can see, the cav units are starting to rout away now. I've got my Old Guard and my Swiss that are still doing a very good job over there, shooting up these Prussian guys. The whole time the cav are into these Prussian Fusiliers, basically the Prussian Fusiliers won't be firing because they're in melee, and also they're going to be standing up instead of in their skirmish mode, which makes them a lot easier to hit. I noticed my opponent now, he's switching on the other flank. He's noticed that I've turned one of his flanks, so he's switching on the other one, which is the right thing to do. I've got to get these guys out of the way of the Lancers. I'm going to send one of my cav units back into attack I'm going to square up my line there, and hopefully there's one cav unit. I may sacrifice it, I might keep it, but basically I'm going to get rid of both of his cav units over here because of that. And that is the main thing. There's an old guard unit there on the far outside as well, which are going to instantly hit their morale as soon as the Prussians come near him. As you can see now, I've got units spare in the centre technically now, but I'm not going to use any kind of reserve force at the moment. I want to try and use what I've got to win the battle. So I've routed away both his cav units, gives me cav superiority on this flank. So this flank should be pretty easy to destroy. I order an attack and he squares, so just move my lines up. So light battle's still just skirmishing away there, which is exactly what I wanted. I wanted it just to be a distraction, and that's exactly what it is. So my opponent is now moving up his lines to form a line with his lights, basically to try and cover any kind of flanking movement that I'm going to try and do. So as you can see now, he's spread his forces right far out, and it's important to notice that he hasn't got any lines behind his lights now, as that's going to matter soon. So my cav have managed to destroy one of the foot guard units, so into another foot guard unit, I believe it's a foot guard unit now, and my cav are going to pull away behind instead of staying engaged. So having cav superiority basically means you can keep your opponent into square. You can hit them when they try and run away from you. You can pin them in position so that you can outflank them. So it's important to try and get cav superiority at the beginning of a 1v1 in particular. 3v3s, 4v4s, cav superiority don't matter so much, as you've got a smaller area of space to cover, so it's not so much of a problem outflanking your opponent, because you basically do it with brute force. But in 1v1s you've got a lot of room to manoeuvre, so you want to use as much of that room as possible, and the best way to do that is with cav. So I've got 2 units back with my general still, I haven't even used those lines yet. I started to flank him, and my cav unit goes in, and I'm switching targets instantly. I believe he's in square with that one, but that's fine. These cav are now pretty much expendable. I would want to see a little bit more come out of the last cav unit I've got left. So I'm just tidying up units so they don't come back from routing quickly with them. And I want to try and hold these guys into square as well. And also, I noticed that his lights weren't protected, so I'm going to go into them in a minute too. So I'm just moving everything up on this flank as quickly as possible. If you look at my line on the right hand side there, they're in the wrong position. They should be facing straight up to the right hand side instead of like that. At the moment they're vulnerable like that, I don't notice at the moment. So my cav units are now successfully behind, and they're going to come down onto the lights. And as soon as these lights are over, that'll be the end of the battle, really. There'll be no way back for him then. Although I do believe most of my bolts are out of ammo by now. There we go. I've repositioned my lines now, on, as I said before, on the right. They're now in a straighter line, which means they're not going to get outflanked so easy. So my cav go in. He rushed his general out the way of my shooter cav behind, but unfortunately he ran them straight into line units, so that general's going to have it. This guy's a nice guy. I believe he's on my friends list, I'm not so sure, but he asked who I was. So that's pretty much the end of this battle, really. Basically, it's all just, in 1v1s in my opinion, it's all just about good cav use and getting the cav superiority, pinning your opponent's strongest units in a position where they're not effective, like I did with his lights. My volts, I believe, is like 550 each, whereas his about 700 or so. So there's a majority of his units in the centre map routing away now. So his stronger units were pinned. My cav took advantage of his cav pretty quickly. The French shooter cav are excellent. so it gave me a huge advantage with the cav anyway. So I'm just wrapping around now and just finishing off. So there's a couple of units left in the centre, and I believe there's one or two that's come back from routing. But that was a good game to my opponent. Thank you very much for playing. So just tidy up the rest of these units here. So as I say, the stakes helped as well. Anyone that doesn't know or doesn't realise, yeah, there's stakes. If your men are close behind the stake line, unless the opponent's very, very close up to you, then they're going to be wasting a lot of bullets into the wood. So it'll waste their ammunition, and for the price of your volts, it's perfect really for you to kind of hold your opponent off with that. So thank you very much for watching, guys. If everyone could just rate, comment and subscribe, it would be brilliant, and also check out the other channels lists. I believe this guy wants a rematch at some point, so I'm sure I'll give him one and put that on here too at some point. He did agree that I could post this. If you read the chat, you'll see that.
A glorious victory, sir.
So that's the end. Thank you very much everyone for watching, and goodbye.